Welcome to simpleroptions.com. This is a weekend edition. I'm going to record this here on September 26, 2015. My name is Don Kaufman, and on this special weekend edition, one of the things I'm going to be doing here is reviewing one of the major updates that was done by ThinkorSwim, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about the markets, but again, primarily here, I'm going to look at the update of ThinkorSwim. So many of you obviously are TD Ameritrade clientele. More importantly, many of you use the ThinkorSwim trading application. Well, in the 16-year history of ThinkorSwim, they've never really done much of a facelift on the trading application. Well, can't say that anymore because this weekend, all right, the new build of ThinkorSwim has come out. So I spent about 15 years working within the ThinkorSwim, trading application within the group, running part of the education division over there. This, what we call kind of reskin, this is actually the last build that I happen to work on and have some input on prior to leaving TD Ameritrade. Again, I resided inside the ThinkorSwim group there for the better part of 15 years before leaving to join Simpler Options back in February. So this is a release they've been working on for literally for about a year. They didn't just reskin the trading application, they actually rewrote the entire front end, which is sometimes known as the viewer interface, or for those of you that speak geek, it's the GUI. They rewrote the whole front end. And if you're hopping on to ThinkorSwim this weekend, and again, I implore you, please hop on the trading application, familiarize yourself on, if it's Saturday evening, maybe Sunday, Monday, first thing in the morning, download it, get used to it. But what I'm going to display to you right now is how to change some of the settings to make sure that you like what you see, because with the new kind of user interface, there's a lot more flexibility in what the trading application happens to look like. And I want to go over a little bit of that because I guess on first look, what happens a lot of the times is people are going to download this, they're going to look at it, and they're going to go, I don't like it, I want to go back. Well, if you look at my trading application right now, it looks like, old school ThinkorSwim. That's because it is old school ThinkorSwim. I just changed the look and changed the feel, and I'm going to take you through, again, just a little bit of that right here, right now. Then we'll talk about the markets as we jump into it here, kind of in this special weekend edition. And again, I am really highly suggesting download the trading application and make sure that you're comfortable with it. This is not a big download. It'll only take a few seconds. It's just getting oriented with a new look and a new feel. Most of the functionality, I would go as far to say as 95% of the functionality is identical to previous ThinkorSwim, just knowing where a few things are. Okay, first and foremost, watch the bouncing ball, which is better known as my mouse on the screen over here. Tabs are set up identically to the way they used to be, from the monitor tab to the trade tab to the analyze tab, okay? All of that looks and feels exactly the same. One of the major differences is if you've already played around with it, you're like, I don't like the way it looks, I don't like the way it feels. Well, there's an entire section now, okay? And it's found under setup. And we're going to go through in setup here. Okay, we're going to go right to application settings, and I click on application settings. There's actually a little button that says look and feel. All right, so it's one of the drop downs. So we're going to go into look and feel. You can see I've already played around with it a bit. I'm using old school TOS. I'm used to it, okay? I spent 15 years on this thing, and I like old school TOS. But let's play around with a few of the settings to make sure you recognize that, come Monday morning, if the markets are volatile, it's okay. It's still your old trading application over there. It just looks different, and when I say it feels a little bit different, again, there are some very, very minor, changes, but, almost all the user functionality is identical. But I'm actually going to take you through so far what I found in here. First of all, when you first go in here, it's actually using the dark color scheme. Hit apply to the settings there. And this is what it's going to look like. And this is, if you're looking at your screen and you've downloaded ThinkorSwim, this is what it looks like. I don't like it, or the fonts are too big, or the fonts are too small. Let's go in there and let's show you how to set all this stuff up. So you go over to Setup, back to Application Settings, go back to Look and Feel, right? So you can use the dark mode, you can use the bright mode. Check this bright mode out over here. Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, so in the bright mode, you're like, holy my retinas! This is just sucking my will to live right now, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. That's a little contrasty for me. By the way, what's great about the bright mode here, you can do bright mode with high contrast. Imagine that, folks, that's not high contrast enough for you. So I no longer have any retinas whatsoever. I don't know what we're going for this, but it's bright. So once again, I go back to Look and Feel, and I'm like, okay, I've decided the bright mode just isn't for me. So this dark mode, all right, we'll go back to the dark mode because that's what a lot of people will kind of default to. The dark mode, kind of, again, the look, the feel a little different, a little gray, kind of background over here. And again, going through and navigating the trading application hasn't changed. So if you're not kind of comfortable with this, all right, and again, we're not even seeing the market open here and upticks and downticks. If you're not comfortable with this, go back over to Setup, go to Application Settings, go back to Look and Feel. You can use dark mode, all right. You can even throw in dark mode with high contrast, and this is a little different because what it's going to do, it's again going to make it, well, more contrasty. For me, it pops some of the fonts a little bit more, and especially like in the option chains. By the way, I've noticed as I'm navigating through here, the option chains, they're popping fast. Okay, again, the feel of the platform is good, and that basically means I'm navigating the platform kind of at light speed here. Granted, the markets aren't open yet, but changing the GUI, that front end of it, should actually lighten the load a little bit. Things feel real fast right now on ThinkorSwim. So again, I kind of like this right here. And when I say this, all I'm using is under Application Settings, the Look and Feel. I'm using dark, okay, color scheme with kind of that high contrast. Now let's get the font size. Font size. You may not like the font size. I checked out this small, and I was kind of laughing when I looked at the small, setting over there, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't know if I'm too old or for this is just too small for a 1080p monitor, but it's just not for me. So I go back over to Application Settings, change the look and feel, because you probably can't even see what I'm doing right now. Let's go to large, very large. I'm going to even go to larger and apply those settings. So super sized. But when you go this large, this is the larger of the large, things start almost looking like jumbled. I kind of feel like this is like the Disneyland of trading here a little bit. But there's nothing wrong with using these really, really big fonts, because what you can also do now is you can take this left side bar and you can move it. And you can move it again. And then you can even adjust the left side bar. So I'll show that again a little bit here, but you can actually collapse the left side bar. Now, you've always been able to collapse the left side bar, but now the left side bar is quote unquote movable. So if you have multiple screens in multiple versions of TOS, what you can do is you could collapse this left side bar and just go, big font and just be able to see your trade tab and then put your quotes onto another screen. Like for me, listen, I'm going to be very frank. I don't trade without this left side bar open. I need it because I need to be able to see futures and so forth. So I'm an absolute diehard in there. So for me, again, application settings, look and feel. I'm into the large. Not the larger of the large, but the regular large. And there's even like a very large. So there's multiple levels of everything. So I'm going with the first version of large. You can even do spacing here, which I'm going to come into momentarily. So let's go back to large. And you guys can see it. Again, I'm more comfortable with this because it leaves a little bit more room for this left side bar. Enough for me to be able to view quotes and so forth. All right. Go back over to Setup, Application Settings, Look and Feel, the spacing. See, here's something that you're going to notice probably isn't set correctly. I'm using what they call normal spacing. When I first hopped on the application, it was into Roomy. And I found like Roomy, I'm like, whoa, I couldn't fit a whole lot of stuff on here. It might be easier for you to see, but it was eating up too many pixels for me, so didn't exactly do it for me. So again, I went back to setup, went to application settings, went to look and feel. I got rid of roomy. I went back down to normal. By the way, tight was, well, a little bit too tight. So everybody's got what they like and so forth. Like here's the one cool thing with tight. You can fit, I'm going to say this eloquently, a crap load of symbols on the left side bar when you are in tight mode. It even tightens up all the menu bars up top. So go back up to setup, application settings, look and feel. Let's get rid of tight, go back over to normal. All right, you can change, system fonts over here. You name it, it's pretty much in there. And it's funny because I find myself really liking the kind of the new look and feel, like the new dark theme. Find myself liking that more and more. But because, for nostalgic purpose, I'm going to old school. Old school, it's just going to make it, well, it's going to look like old school. And that's like more like old school ThinkorSwim. And that's, I'm going to, small steps. Small steps for Don. Again, it's been like, 15 years of me on the trading application. All right, so a couple other things I want to talk about. Let's chat about the left side bar. There used to be on ThinkorSwim these little blue dots on the left side bar, and those blue dots had like these drop-down menus. They're still there, okay? They're no longer blue dots. What you do is you can right-click on any symbol. Just right-click like here on the XLF, and here's the same exact drop-down menu without the blue dot. Looks like they just did away with that little blue dot to save a couple of pixels. So you can right-click and drop down to anything. When I say drop down to anything, it's how you can navigate the trading application. So you can do more info in IWM, you can drop it to a chart, the Analyze tab, anything you want. But I've also noticed this little tiny sprocket guy right up here. It's the same thing. Okay, it's kind of the same thing, and you can click on that and get that drop-down menu. So that's a bit about the left side bar. The next thing about the left side bar, as I said, it's sizable. Okay, it's a huge left side bar. Look at the size. So yeah, you can actually add then more columns. Instead of having last, net change, high, and low, you can come in there and kind of customize more columns. And how do you do that? You can either right-click on these column headers, or you can click directly on that sprocket and go to customize. And basically, you can add more crap to your left side bar. I think I'm actually going to add myself like percentage change in the day, because I always like to compare, like, are the S&Ps, down more than the NASDAQ and vice versa over there. So I think I'm going to be changing that myself. The next thing is, you used to be able to change watch lists using like a little sprocket. This is so much easier now. Look, you just click right up here on the menu, and you have personal lists. Here's all your personal watch lists, all the public watch lists. I mean, really, that's like it for the left side bar. Same kind of menus to detach. So that's the left side bar kind of in a nutshell. All right. Next thing I've noticed that changed a little bit, okay? Nothing major on the monitor tab over here. The columns, nice and clean and so forth. Let's go to the trade tab, because there is a pretty good sized trade, change in the trade tab. Go to the trade tab. I'll just pop the spiders in there. And what you may notice is the order ticket. Okay, the order ticket. So we'll open up an option chain. We'll click on an option. The order ticket's going to look a little bit different. And when I originally brought it up, I was like, oh, cool, okay, because it's kind of just differentiating a bit more. It's kind of color coordinated. But I have noticed when I start clicking on things, these kind of supersize a little bit. It's, again, a little easier to be able to navigate. You don't have to be, just perfectly on it to be able to navigate to uptick or downtick contract size over there. I'm also going to put in like a vertical spread, because I want you to see this. Let's go sell vertical, and you can actually see the contract size. Again, which leg is being bought, which leg is being sold is color coordinated in there. As I put it, it's just creating a little bit more contrast, differentiation, okay, in it. But the reason I bring this up is because I don't want anybody to hop on there like on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is you hop on the trading application, and the first time you get on there, you're like, oh no, it's really not the end of the world. Everything else functions exactly the same. Again, if anything, I like, kind of the contrast differentiation in there on the order ticket, because the order ticket, it's always been a little confusing on there. There's a lot of information. Like when you pull up like a butterfly, like a ThinkorSwim, it's a lot of information on it. And you can now see, well, here's the contract size you can change. You can change it from butterfly, do custom configurations, just showing you some of the differentiation on there. Anyway, some color differences in the order ticket. Don't let it intimidate you at all. Close that up. Okay, here's an area I got to talk about. All right, let's go over to the charts, because I'm not a huge market technician, but, most of our clientele here at Simpler Options, they're very, into the charts, if you will. I've even been called an anti-chartite by a few people I work with here at Simpler, but that's all right. I'm actually going to show you a little bit about the charts. One of the first things I noticed about the charts that some people, love it or hate it, it changed the background color of the charts. Okay, and the candlesticks are different. It's a different color. And I'm actually red-green colorblind. I don't mind telling you, because a lot of people probably are. And before, I didn't have like a huge, problem kind of differentiating between red and green. And I do now. I actually do. So I just want to show you, if you don't like the background color, you don't like the color of the candles, like, don't panic and sit there and go like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. Yeah, you can. All you have to do is just change the look and feel. That's one of the things on ThinkorSwim that's like so incredibly flexible. So this entire update of ThinkorSwim, of course, everybody kind of blows things out of proportion when they change. And I got to tell you, having worked at ThinkorSwim for the better part of 15 years, when stuff like this changes, they'll be flooded Monday morning. They're like, I hate you. But overall, again, right now, that look, that feel, it's fast. Okay, it's furious. But if you don't like the look, you just have to say to yourself, like, okay, I'm just going to change it and just find my own groove for it. And to do that here in the charts, to kind of change it and maybe make it more contrasty or, color coordinated for you, just come up into the chart and click on that little sprocket. See, there's like a little beaker. That's to edit the studies. That's all your different studies, like on ThinkorSwim. But over here, that little sprocket. And in that little sprocket, all right, just go under chart settings, which is chart settings. So again, sprocket, appearance. Okay, we're going to go to the appearance. And what appearance lets you do, if you don't like something, like, I don't like the color of those candles, well, change them. And just change them. And you go, I don't like even the background color. It's very bleak. All right, it's very bleak. I need something a little bit more, I don't know, fuchsia over there. So what you can do is you come under common and you go down here where it says like background, click on background. You're like, oh, these colors are brutal. Let's just go to like fully black it out over there and hit apply, hit OK. You're like, oh, yeah. All right, now we're looking a little bit better, right? I don't know if that does it for you or not, but I've always liked the black background on ThinkorSwim, but the charts were never black background. So I'll go back over here to the sprocket. I go to appearance. I go to common. If you don't like the background color, click on it again. You're like, I don't like these colors. Hit more. It actually brings up the color palette. I think you can make like over 2 million colors with this, because there's even like, let's change the hue and the saturation. But here's the swatches. And I go, yeah. Oh, that's doing it for me. All right. Psychedelic charts. That is absolutely hideous. But I just want to show you guys again. Maybe that's not the color for you. It's definitely not the color for me. It looks like somebody ate a pack of Crayolas and, all over my screen. Anyway, to change some of the backgrounds and so forth, purple, pink, whatever it does it for you, just go for it. And just click on some of the colors and then hit apply, hit OK. And like, look, it's looking more like the older version over there. It's a little softer maybe on my eyes. This, if I had to stare at this all day, though, I'd probably still have some issues. Anyway, that's one of the key features in here. And this has always been in there in terms of appearance. But if you don't like something, change it. All right, and it's really again, it's you're again in control to be able to change anything for the most part on the trading application. It's really just a matter at this point of you going through and playing and figuring out what colors. All right, if you're really into the psychedelic thing and you don't really remember the 60s or 70s, this might be the color for you. Again, kind of whatever does it for you. I'm finding myself more and more kind of migrating back to like some of the background color. I kind of like this really dark color. Hit apply, hit OK. These seem to do it for me, and now these red and greens kind of pop out a little bit more than maybe they were earlier. It's just, again, look and feel. So remember, under charts, because it's an area that's just such a sensitive thing to be able to change. You know, every line on a chart, okay, can be changed in here. And I'll reiterate this point. So we're just going to go and add a study, albeit briefly. Okay, and well, this is simpler trading, so let's just pull up the simple moving average for simpler trading, hit apply, hit OK, and you can even go directly to a particular study, and you can right click on the study, hit edit the study. Even the studies themselves, you know, you don't like the color, change it, hit more. All right, you hit the same exact color palette over there. So I always say, you don't like it, change it. And then after you make some of these changes over here, let's make a change, hit apply, hit OK. You're like, that is hideous. But after you make these changes, save them. Okay, look, you can save styles. Okay, you can save studies. All right, style though includes even the background color, everything on there. So I'll go back to this Dawn 1 setting, and that takes me back to more of a standardized. Here's like a comparative tick on there. So again, lots of new toys to be able to play with. Don't forget, again, under setup, application settings, okay, is where you can change the vast amount of things. So that does it again for kind of the new release of ThinkorSwim. I think I covered some of the key points on there. Now over to markets. Yeah, this is a little more of an extended weekend session here, but in the markets, okay, the S&Ps. What have we done for me lately? Not much. We tried to rally, we failed. We tried to rally, we failed. Seems to be the common theme over here. But for a Friday, that got a little, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking like Friday got a little crazy for me since we rallied, stopped at 1950 and came down and pretty much stopped once again at that fateful number of about 1910. That's been our range lately. The high side's really been right around the 1950 level, okay, to the low side about 1910. Okay, here's generally, again, what I want to reiterate. And I actually mentioned this earlier last week, and I'll mention it again. Okay, this is not about individual stocks. This is about the market. Okay, the market is going to drive order flow to those individual stocks. So lo and behold, what you need to really look for is, what do you think the indices are going to do? Okay, in the kind of looking forward at this week, look and watch out for what we call the rip your face off rallies. Okay, look for explosive rallies just like we had on Friday. Yes, the Friday rally failed. Okay, the S&Ps though, they closed relatively unchanged. The SPX was actually down like 90 cents. It's, you know, massively unchanged in the trading day, but it looked like in the last hour we were going to completely fall out of bed. Watch out for the rip your face off rallies. Ultimately though, okay, we're looking lower. And that's what we feel about the major indices, and that's what you can consider inside of individual stocks over there. We are looking lower, okay, pretty much across the board. It does look like we're not only going to threaten at some point this week, but break below that 1900 level inside of the S&Ps. Again, look to the 1900 level. It doesn't look like it's going to hold up over here, but you still have to watch out. In the midst of volatility, in the midst of a down move, some of the most violent moves can actually be to the upside. With that, last but definitely not least, I've actually got a class coming up this week, and this is, don't miss it, simpleroptions.com/ratio. That class is going to be, again, this Wednesday. This Wednesday, I'm going to be kicking it off. It is going to be from 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. It's a guide about ratio butterflies, but I always, you know, in any class I do, I have multiple themes. In this particular class, yes, the class itself is about the ratio butterfly, but it's really about using spreads and define risk spreads in combination with skew, a little bit of imagination, and we can build, okay, really a variety of trades that put probabilities nicely in your favor. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is putting on trades to take advantage of skew, to amplify skew that exists inside of many of the products that you trade. So the class is really twofold. Yes, of course, I'm going to be teaching ratioed butterflies, and those are 1-3-2 ratioed butterflies. You don't want to miss it. It's something that, again, very few traders understand how to build and amplify trades around skew. So enjoy it over there. It's going to be this coming Wednesday, September 30th from 8 to 10. I'll actually be out in Austin, Texas to be able to teach this one. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.